Hi, welcome to the Photo Flunky Show. My name is William Beem. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to rebroadcast one of our previous shows. It's episode 26 about black and white photography. In case you missed this or you join the show later on, I hope that you will enjoy this. And without any further waiting, here you go, episode 26. Hi, welcome to the Photo Flunky Show, episode number 26. Question we have for you today is black and white photography overrated? Thank you for listening to the Photo Flunky Show. My name is William Beem.
Hi, I'm Lee.
We have free show notes available for you at williambeem.com/episode 26. And of course, you can find a transcript of the show there. You can also go to photoflunky.com and find links to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music.
That's it.
I still get that one confused. And we would really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the show. It means a lot to us. All right, before we get started, I've got a discount code for you for Topaz Labs. They've got a coupon code for a 15% discount. You go to williambeem.com/Topaz Labs, as all one word. And when you're ready to check out, use the coupon code WBEEM That is WBEEM Photo, all is one word. And that will give you a 15% discount. It can save you a little bit of money. Let's get into this little topic of, is black and white photography overrated? And this kind of came up because of something I saw recently. I was watching somebody who was following around a group of folks, and everything that he did as part of his story was all black and white. And I looked at it and I thought, why is that? This is a modern, 2016 street photography kind of a thing. Everything is in black and white. But the default that you get from every camera these days is color. So why is everything for this whole series in black and white? What is that really going to do for you?
My thought is he had a trend. He had a little, excuse me, like an ID mark on his style for whatever that project was. And for whatever reason he chosen it. I don't know why. I didn't see the things.
This is someone who's been to art school. And I'm beginning to wonder, it's like, are people using black and white just to be kind of artsy or moody?
I think sometimes that is the case. There's a bit of an intrigue about black and white.
Really? But what's the intrigue?
It's not common. And like you say, when something's not the default, people get curious. I know that there's, there was a stage a little while back, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, when I noticed that all baby photos, everyone seemed to be doing them in like sepia or black and white. And I wasn't quite sure why. There are times when it works for portraits, but it just seemed to be a bit of a trend.
I'm not against black and white. Matter of fact, on my desktop, I've got, background photos that are portraits that are black and white, and I really appreciate them. Mostly I have those on my computer as a desktop background because they're simple. There's not a lot of distraction to them, and they've got negative space that I want, for a desktop background. It works for that, so I can have icons on the side without having a cluttered photo behind them. My thought of black and white photo or black and white photography in a modern age is it works best when it is a very simple subject, just like as you have black and white and all the little gradations between. I'm thinking the subject needs to be equally simple. But when I see a modern street, shot in black and white, I'm thinking, what's really the purpose there?
Are you talking about street photography?
I'm talking about any kind of photography. If you're going to do black and white as an artistic statement, what is really driving you for that?
See, that I had a little bit of a history where I experimented with street photography. So I spent a lot of time looking at other people's work. And I did notice that black and white seemed to be, I don't want to say the default trend, but it's more common than anywhere else that I'd noticed it. And there are times when it works really well. The photos that I really appreciated and spent some time looking through, where I went to see what else the photographer had on his profile, they were very simple, sometimes close up, but just very simple photos. And those work well with black and white. But I think what's happened is people see something, they think, oh, well, I'm a street photographer now, so everything goes in black and white, and that makes me a street photographer. It may not be true, but to people, their perception is reality, and that's it.
It could be. I guess I'm looking at black and white photography as thinking most of it is probably pointless. At least when I look at it, I don't see the point of it. I see the point of black and white photography when you're really trying to isolate something. I see it as if you're taking away the color, you're literally trying to strip away something out of the photo so you can concentrate on your subject. And that's why I like it for the portrait that I have. That is, like I said, it's just very simple of somebody, whether it be a model or another example I've got is a portrait of one of my dogs. It is just my subject. It is stripped away of all the color, and you just see the form.
Portraits, plain backgrounds, are very simple subjects. Architecture, I think, if it's not too busy, can also work very well in black and white.
I've seen some architecture photos where they're stripping away the color and you're really looking at the lines, particularly for like high rises. If you did a black and white photo of my house, it wouldn't help it in the slightest. If you're going to a downtown urban core, you've got tall buildings, there's symmetry, there's lines, and you want to strip away all the noise and you just want to concentrate on that. I see black and white for that. Again, to me, that is simplifying something by eliminating color and the noise that can kind of go with color. And of course, you're looking at your color contrast, where I love color photos that have contrast. Like we see it in movie posters all the time, where they're doing the kind of teal and orange sort of colors that and contrast to consider. With black and white, you're going to have contrast so long as you've got enough black and you've got enough, white or close to it.
But it's surprising how many people miss the mark. I mean, I've done it sometimes where I've taken something with black and white in mind. I've sort of had a vision of what I want the finished photos to look like in black and white, and come back and the contrast just hasn't been quite what I want it to be, and it doesn't work.
I think if you're going to do this in black and white, or take a photo and make it in black and white, you can't just necessarily hit the button and say, okay, I went from color to black and white and accept the default. You really need to go in there and tweak, I guess, your highlights, your midtones, and your shadows to just say, how much contrast do I want in each of these areas, and how much kind of clarity do I want in each of these areas?
That's true. And also, I think that, there are two ways to do a black and white photo. It's when it's been planned and you see your photo, you see your through your little frame in black and white. If you're looking in black and white, you're probably going to have a better chance of a success if it's planned. And then there's black and white where you use it to remedy something.
And that's one of the things I hate is, like, if you got a bad photo and you think you're going to take it in Photoshop or some other tool and just do some post-processing to save it, usually a bad photo is a bad photo.
Well, yes, and also even a good photo that could look great in black and white, it's not as simple as just hitting the convert to black and white. If you go into, most people have Lightroom, so I think that would be a good place to use as an example. But if you go, if you go into the black and white and then you go into the color panel and you start moving those color sliders around, you see how it affects the light and the shades in the black and white photo. And you need to do more tweaking than just accept the default.
Well, I agree. And my experience is 90% of the photos that I have, if I were to just hit the letter V for some reason is black and white in Lightroom. If I hit the letter V and I turn it into a black and white, it looks like crap.
Yeah, but I think yours probably, you have that for the same reason that most of my black and white photos like that would look like crap, because we see in color. I do. I mean, and it's not that I don't appreciate a good black and white photo, but I think a good black and white photo is much more rare than a good color photo. There's an art to seeing in black and white, because that's not a natural way unless people have colorblind issues.
And that's kind of what brings me back to documentary style photos as in black and white. I don't think it's done because that's the best way to present the subject. I think it's done as kind of an art school thing. Someone's being trendy or artsy or moody, and that's not necessarily the best thing for the subject.
Do you think that sometimes when people are doing a documentary style, they think that black and white, being void of color is void of emotion, and therefore it's neutral?
It might be neutral, but is it relevant? I'm not sure that it really is. I love portraits in black and white. We've talked about architectural photography with, some tall buildings. I can see that. If you're going to be shooting a historical subject, I get the urge sometimes to want to make it black and white because you're used to seeing, let's say, an old airplane. I've been to the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., and the other one in Virginia. There are a lot of old airplanes and relics there that you know by heart some of the old photographs of those in black and white, because that's really all they had. And then some people, I think, are compelled to want to try and take black and white photos of old subjects. But I never did. I looked at those and thought, look at the glorious color that you never got out of these old photos.
Well, I look at it that way as well. I look at something old in today's world and think this is something from the past that survived. So I like to capture the color. It's almost the best of both worlds, quite literally. But I think some people like to take their viewer back, or use it to transport themselves into an era gone by.
I guess I just don't relate to that quite so much. I mean, I'm living in a modern age. We have color is the default right now. If you're going to do something black and white, I think it needs to be something that really helps the viewer engage with the photo. And turning something to black and white just because it's old, I don't think is really a good thing. So that kind of brings back the question for, certain subjects, is black and white better than color?
I think that depends.
Is it a matter of genre or a matter of subject?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I'd say it's more a matter of subject and how the subject is captured. I think black and white is, there is definitely an art to capturing black and white. It's a lot more difficult to get a good black and white photo than it is to get a good color photo, in my opinion. I think that the people who do, and there are some beautiful black and white photos out there, you know, the people who do them will really do them well. And there are some photographers who are known for their black and white work, but they have trained their eye, or they just have a natural ability to see things in black and white and to isolate subjects in a way that most of us aren't able to do.
All right, well, let's think of some of the trends. A lot of wedding photography these days seems to have, maybe not all, but at least some shots that are going to be black and white.
That's true. And what did I say about our wedding photos? No black and white.
No black and white. Absolutely not. And specifically no black and white with selective color in them.
Yes, that's another thing. Absolutely not allowed.
But think about it. When we got married, you said no black and white. What was really driving you with that?
I had a red dress on.
Exactly. It was a bold, beautiful red dress. And if someone were going to turn that into black and white, it would just, I don't know, it would look like a muddy gray.
Yeah, I mean, look, just the portrait, if it was just the face, I didn't really have an issue with that. And I think we did get one or two of those that were beautifully done, you know, where it was just faces and that. But a photo of me in black and white with my red dress.
I don't think we shared any of our photos that were in black and white.
We didn't.
No. I mean, we've shared some of the ones that were in color. We haven't, we haven't put them all over the place, but they didn't even grab us enough really to say, oh, you must take a look at this.
No, I just remember how furious I was about that one of me walking into the chapel.
Yeah.
As I walked in, they had taken a photo of me in black and white, and I don't know what happened, but it was only in black and white. There was no color version. And it was the only photo as I walked in the door. I was absolutely furious.
I know. It's like you're backlit by the sun. You've got this nice, small little chapel with warm colors inside of it. You've got this brilliant red dress, and they reduced it all to black and white. And just, in my mind, they kind of lost the moment with that.
They did. And, you get over it.
No, I don't think you sound like you got over it yet. But let me jump ahead a little bit. So, and you've kind of answered this already, but when is black and white a mistake?
There are times when color is a mistake. There are times when a photo is a mistake. And there are times when you take a black and white photo. Black and white is not a solution to a bad color photo. You've already touched on this. So when your white balance is out, you just don't seem to be able to get it right in post-processing. Or if you've got, maybe people sometimes do it when there's too much flare or there's too much contrast and the highlights are a bit blown out. Black and white is not going to fix that. In fact, it's probably going to make it worse.
One of the fixes I've heard, and this was coming back from Kasha Photography, is because they've got all sorts of light. Sometimes you've got a really nice shot and then there's like purple light on the guy's face. You just can't really fix that. And a lot of concert photographers will come back and say, turn it to black and white. Then you see what the image is like without that distracting color. Sometimes that works.
I think that can. Sometimes when the only problem with the photo is a color cast and you just cannot seem to get it where you need it to be, black and whites can work.
Well, but to me, it depends though. If you've got a shot of a isolated subject, like let's say you've got a guitar player or a singer and you've got their face and their face is purple and that's really your main subject, I see turning that to black and white. You've got an isolated subject. But if you're shooting like the entire stage and there's color and there's equipment and all sorts of different shades of things, and you turn that to black and white, I think you lose your main subject in the many shades of gray that you're going to have in that, cluttered environment.
That's true. Look, we've already said that for black and white to really stand out, you want something simple. And I think you're going to go back to that anyway. So black and white is going to be a mistake if it's too busy. Not all photos that are busy are a mistake. Sometimes they are that way by design. Yeah. But you throw a couple of kids at or a group of maybe 10 kids onto a bouncy castle at a birthday party with all their bright colored things and throw some, what do you call the little plastic balls that they play with, but make a ball pit or something. Get them jumping up and down, get some action in there, take a photo. It's a busy photo. I would not put it in black and white, but I think that in color, that captures the mood.
Well, it does. And it's because color is the subject in a way sometimes.
Yes.
You wanted that photo because of all the brightly colored little balls in there. Plus the kids, that's the subject, is the energy and the color that's going on there. That's probably what attracted you to take the photo in the first place. If you got something bright and colorful, even with a bunch of mixed colors, so long as they work together, taking that color away just means you're going to have, so many shades of gray and you've got a bunch of ugly balls there. What's really the story if you take that kind of bouncy castle or ball pit photo and turn it into black and white? it's not like the documentary that you really want to share.
No, absolutely not. But detailed photos can work really nicely in black and white. If you coming into something simple like a badge or just simple like a cup of black coffee, a white cup with black coffee and a teaspoon and a saucer sitting on a mat. You go and take if you're into still lifes and things like that, that would work really well in black and white if you light it properly.
Maybe, but you know what? I think it might work better in color. We've got a lot of coffee drinkers out there. If you give them a nice little still life of coffee with the color of the coffee in color is going to be warm. It's going to resonate much better than a black and white image of a cup of coffee. In other words, you see that black and white with, you got a white mug and coffee inside of it. You kind of think an old school 1950s diner. Whereas you see a nice table setting with maybe a bit of a shade to the mug. You see the shade of the coffee inside of it. It brings up different thoughts and memories. It hits different parts of your brain.
Well, I'm a big coffee drinker, so I look at the color version. I think, okay, the coffee's strong or not strong enough. I look at the black and white version and say that's cold. I do think that it can work. It's not my preference, but that doesn't mean that I won't appreciate something that does work. And I have seen things that are not to my taste, but I can acknowledge that it's a job well done.
I keep coming back to, I think, what we said, architecture and very simple portraits. I've got a series in mind of portraits that I really would like to do in black and white, where you really don't see anything except for a dark background and then the light falling off on the model in a certain way. I want to see shadows and form, and that's interesting to me. If you're going to outline something, if you're going to silhouette something, if you're going to just show the form of the person, or let's say it's a subject like guitars or whatever, I get that sort of thing because you're playing with a light and color is getting in your way.
Yeah, and clean edges, definition for black and white are also very important. You want to be very sharp, and it's not to say that you shouldn't be sharp in color, but I think sometimes color can be a bit more forgiving than black and white. All
right, let's talk about different genres. And I know you're not a fan of landscape photography.
Nah.
But can you think of an example of landscape photography that you want to see in black and white instead of color?
Absolutely not. The world is naturally made in color. That's my take on it. Things that we've built, so architecture and, those kind of things. Maybe an animal or a pet against a plain background would work. But nature has color. That's the way it is.
And a lot of landscape photographers, they like to look back to Ansel Adams, as their hero. And Ansel took, beautiful photographs when he had black and white mostly is what he worked with, because color he had some color photography, but he's known for his black and white photography. But I look at when I've traveled to some of the environments and look around there, I'm thinking, how could you take away this beautiful sunset sky?
Yeah, no, you show me a black and white sunset, I'm afraid I'm not going to give you a like. I might like you, but I'm not going to like your photo.
Yeah, and there's just so much color in the world, and it may be too noisy if you try to shoot all of it, but if you isolate it down and use your color and your composition in an interesting way, I'm going to favor that much more than I would black and white.
Oh, absolutely.
Travel photography. You're going to a place, you want to show people. Let's go beyond travel photography. Let's go straight into food photography. What food looks good in black and white?
In my opinion, nothing. Because I like my food photography. That's both taking the photos and viewing the photos. I like to be on the warm side. There might be an exception when it comes to some ice cold drinks or something. But on the whole, I want a kind of warm feel to the photos. I don't want the stuff to look harsh. And black and white food, I don't know. I don't think I eat anything black and white. White ice cream.
Oreos.
Well, they're not kind of black.
You're right. Okay, so let's go back to travel. You're here in Orlando. We take a lot of photos of traditional kind of vacation spots. We've been to Las Vegas. Are there anything in those places that you think that would look really good in black and white?
I don't think so. I know that, I always tell you about the Disney photos just because I have so many thousands of them, but I did go and watch the Festival of the Lion King, the show at the Animal Kingdom. Now, I love that show. It was something that we did on every visit at least once, usually more than that. And one of the times that we'd go and watch it each trip, I would, try and get some photos. And they've got a fire dancer there. He's really good. And I used to always try and get a good shot of the fire dancer. And I've got a few photos, but there was one in particular that I really liked. There was I can't remember what it was. There was a lot of yellow in the photo, but as soon as I corrected the yellow, there were other parts of the photo that suffered, and I just couldn't seem to get this thing right. And by working on it, it took me some time, but putting it into black and white, it really did resolve most of the problems. Now, I would have preferred it in color. It's one of the rare exceptions when I love the black and white photo. Is it a black and white shot? No. Ideally, it should have been shot in color, but I just didn't get it right.
Sorry, so you're trying to fix a photo.
Yeah.
It works in black and white to your satisfaction.
Yeah.
But it's not your preference.
It's not my preference. I mean, it saved a photo I really wanted to keep. The only issue in that photo were color issues. I think that was the thing. I had, it was sharp enough. The noise wasn't terrible because I was shooting wide open. It was quite dark. Everything was fixable except the horrible color cast.
Okay, let's move on to the next genre. You said you've done some street photography in the past, and I've dabbled in it, and I really stink at it. But and there's times I did street photography, and just because I've seen so much street photography in black and white, I converted a scene in Cuba. I was out in the pre-dawn hours with a bunch of our folks. We were going on a photo walk, and they were all in front of me, and I took the shot and I turned it to black and white. And I think I did it because the color of the scene didn't seem to isolate them. But once I turned it to black and white, they were almost silhouettes in front of me. And that gave me a stronger sense of I'm out with these people. That's why I did it. What do you think? Is street photography in general supposed to be in black and white? And if so, why?
I don't think it's supposed to be in black and white. It really is personal preference, but it goes beyond that. You need to consider very carefully. I mean, I preferred my street photography in color because that says something about who I am. And I think street photography is really, it's not always just about the photo. It's about the experience and it's about expression. And sometimes that's expressing who you are in the way that you see things. Now, for me, I see things, I love my color. So it makes sense for me to try and take color photos. There were times that black and white worked for me. For example, I remember taking a picture of it was a guy playing, I think he was playing a banjo or something. He was sitting on old like wooden tomato crates or something like that. He had a big loose floppy hat on that was sort of hanging down over his eyes. In winter, it was like a knitted cap. And although I was shooting, the background was nice and blurry, but there was a lot of bright color and maybe some graffiti on the walls behind him. It just made it too busy. So when I took that photo, I was thinking black and white. And what I did was I took a few of him and then I just zoomed in and I got his hands as he was kind of plucking on the strings. And I just got the one hand on the strings. That worked in black and white. The other one was better in black and white than color, but I didn't keep it.
So when something works in black and white rather than color, what's really driving you? Is the colors are too scattered all over the place or noisy or they're taking away from the subject, or is black and white adding something to the subject?
No, I think it's to avoid the distraction. The colors were drawing your eyes away from the subject. There was really nothing you could do about it but crop, and you can only crop so far in somebody's face without taking their head off.
Okay.
So I just changed my focus completely and went for the hands because it didn't seem to matter if they weren't in color.
No, and I get that. And sometimes taking away the color lets you concentrate on other things. You can see the texture in someone's hands. Yes. And you can concentrate on that without worrying about the color of it. Or particularly if someone's hands, have some discoloration, then suddenly you just see the textures and you're kind of changing what the photo is about when you're taking away the color and converting it to black and white.
Yeah. I mean, a photo like that, I sort of don't look at it as, somebody's playing some music. It's somebody's expressing himself or maybe trying to earn a living. And you look at those hands, there's a story in there and you leave that for your viewer to interpret as they will. But I think the color can be a distraction. Generally
speaking, any kind of photography you can think of, color is the default, and then black and white is when it helps tell the story.
It does, and I think there are times when black and white can make something special. I mean, there are some black and white portraits that they were shot for black and white, and you just don't want to have them any other way.
Well, that's why I like it for portraits. I really want to isolate the subject. And if I'm going to shoot a portrait in black and white, I don't want something with a bright pattern, dress or top on.
No.
Because you want something simple. You want something clean. And it doesn't matter really what color it is, so long as it's not a bunch of colors together, like, a checkerboard pattern or some wild. God, I'm trying to think of what those crazy little patterns are they've got my mind, but my mind's a blank on the word.
No plaid.
Paisley. That's what I'm talking about. I knew there's a word. I don't use paisley very often. But, if somebody shows up to a photo shoot in paisley, I'm thinking, all right, you need to change your top first off. If the color on the paisley is really bright and that's part of the outfit or the look of what you're going for, it would really be a crime, I think, almost to shoot that in black and white.
It would. Well, in my opinion, and, this is the beautiful thing about photography. You're going to take your photos the way that you want to take your photos. You take them the way you see things. So, for one person looking at something in black and white, it doesn't work for them. For the next person, they say, I don't care for the color. Maybe there's too much, it's all yellow and they hate yellow and they prefer black and white just for that reason.
So that brings me back to what we talked about at the beginning. Is black and white being used these days mostly to help the photo, or is it being used because someone wants to be artsy or moody?
People are trying to be artsy and moody.
Are they succeeding?
No, they're really screwing up, in my opinion. But and that is not everybody, because I do want to say that there are some photographers out there who know what they're doing with black and white. They know what they're looking for. They know how to light the scene if that's what they're doing. And those who are able to do it, I think that there's a talent in taking black and white photos, and there are people who are very good at it. I'm not one of them. Color is my thing, so let the people who are good at it do it. If somebody wants to learn, find out what makes it work.
And that's really kind of what I come back with too as well. I love my color. I'm not afraid of taking something in black and white. The ones that I like in black and white, I really love. I think they're better in black and white for portraits if they're simple portraits. Overall, I'd say color wins and black and white just sucks. Thank you for listening to the Photo Flunky Show. Again, show notes are available at williambeem.com/episode 26, or you can go to photoflunky.com and find all of our shows there. You can find a transcript of the show for free at williambeem.com/episode 26. And of course, there are links to subscribe to the show. Thanks very much for listening. We appreciate you, and we'll see you again next week.